Welcome to today's session of Monday Munching and Musing with Women for Water. Today is a special session. We have crossed 50 sessions in the last weeks and today is the 51st session. Today is also special since we have youth members as our guest speakers. The Monday Munching and Musing with Women for Water is conducted with the support of Water Resources Council of the Women's Indian Chamber of Commerce and Industry, abbreviated as WICCI-WRC, and in collaboration with W4W Foundation and media partner Counterview. My name is Dr. Mansi Bal Bhargav. I am currently holding the position of the National President of the WICCI-WRC, and I'm also the founder director of W4W Foundation. I'm glad to start the conversation, namely Monday Munching and Musing with Women for Water, which we co-equally refer to as Blue Lips. The conversation is aimed to share the worries and the wisdom by the woman, for the woman, of the woman in the water sector. In here, we hope to learn about the water endeavors of the woman in a regular disciplined manner like a master class. Today in this session, we are here to listen and know more about 4 youth council members, Vaishali Kushwaha, Kensangla, Anubhuti Shekhar, and Harshita Sehgal. Welcome all the girls, and I'm really excited to listen to all of you because it is definitely going to be extremely refreshing for me as well as all the listeners out there. So let me just start with very simple questions to all of you about knowing how did you enter the water journey and what are you up to these days?
Thank you so much.
Okay, shall I start with my interesting questions, and I hope you are all ready to answer them. So the sequence of Q&A will be, we start with Vaishali every round. So there are a few rounds, and then Kensangla, and then Anubhuti, and then Harshita will be the last respondent. So my first question, which is also introduction and a little bit of going past some years of your life. How did you enter the water sector, or when did you realize that this is where your heart and head lies, and of course hands as well? And what are you up to these days?
Thank you, Mansi, for inviting us and giving us the opportunity to talk on this forum. It's truly a pleasure to meet some other youth councils and women in water sector. So for me, the journey of water started with my engineering. So I'm a civil engineer from LD College of Engineering in Ahmedabad. I think that is the first time I got introduced to what is called water resources engineering. It did involve designing of dams and reservoirs and canals, but the idea of bringing water for the development of society and for humanity was something which was important. But even at that time, I realized that there was no talk about water for nature. I had always loved environment and nature. And as an engineer, I was learning about designing infrastructure, but not about water for the nature. Moving on, I did then my master's in environmental engineering from Texas A&M, and that is where I expanded my purview and took more courses on bioremediation, how nature can become part of the process of the pollution problem, and things like that. And for the first time, I got introduced to what is called policy. And my eyes got opened. I was like, oh, I think I am more of a policy person than I am an engineer. What I've been missing was the big picture of connecting the various elements of the water resources management. So then life happened. I was in Singapore, and then at Lee Kuan Yew School of Public Policy, I enrolled in Masters in Public Administration as my first step towards, one can say, changing the discipline, but I call integrating and going transboundary across understanding the different sectors. And from there, I'm currently doing my PhD in public policy at Northeastern University. Along the way, I have over 10 years of experience of working in urban, environmental, and sustainability sector, in which water has always been close to my heart. I've developed sustainability indicators for the water sector in Singapore. I've worked for WICCI in Puj, constructing rainwater harvesting structures. I have made man-made islands in Singapore, and currently I am researching extensively water policy, governance, and planning issues for my ongoing PhD for Ahmedabad, for actually city of Ahmedabad, but in the context of Indian cities. So I'm integrating international theories and ideas to the domestic problems of developing countries, especially India, and seeing how they can be modified and applied in our context and help in our decision making as we are aiming to fulfill the quench, the thirst of so many millions of people and economy, and how we can do it more sustainably. So that's me.
Thank you. Thank you so much. And I also feel very privileged and blessed, to be honest, to knowing your PhD in and out. So from the time you started and since we started knowing each other, and you're also part of our wonderful Ahmedabad Water Group. So that's good to know. So Kensangla, I'm super excited to learn what you have been doing and how did you start?
Okay. Thank you, Ma'am Manasi. And first of all, I'd like to thank the Youth Council for giving me this opportunity to talk about what we're facing and what we have done so far. First of all, I'd like to introduce myself. My name is Kensangla, and I belong to our community, and I am from Nagaland. Being honest, I'm not expert in this field. I'm on the process of learning from you guys, and I hope that I'll learn so many things from you, and it will be beneficial for me, and for our future. We just started the Green Side project. It was initiated by our youth department, our youth in the year 2016, and that Green Side project is all about preserving and restoring the water bodies. The work includes, cleaning, sanitization, and plastic-free zone. So the try was a successful one, and we are still on the process of making a zero plastic-free, but it has a long way to go. So that is all about me, and thank you. And I'm so happy to be a part of this.
Yeah, thanks, Kensangla, and also good to learn that you mentioned work in progress. Trust me, even after 30 years, I'm also work in progress. So we are on the same page. Just trust me on that. Okay, so it is a beautiful journey, and I think we will learn to know about it more when we discuss. Over to you, Anubhuti, and how you may also add how it is to be on the other side of the table, because you have been asking this question to all these 50 women so far.
Hi everyone. It's so nice to like Mansi ma'am mentioned, to be on the other side, because I have always listening to other people's story, and it always occurs to me, when will I get the opportunity to tell people how I started my journey. So coming back to my school days, I remember going for excursion to Tarun Bharat Sangh. So we visited Alwar for a school excursion. At that time, it wasn't a very big deal learning about environment that much, talking about food security, what are the problems that people were facing because of water. But at that time, I remember at the end of the day of our excursion, we used to sit and write a lot of how our day was. So I always used to document it very nicely with a lot of drawings. So when we came back from the excursion, one thing I was sure of, that I want to work in the field of environment and do something related to people, to community, and connect on ground with the people. So when I got the opportunity to do bachelor's, I went to Delhi University. I was always a humanities student, so there was always a fear of doing science, doing mathematics, physics. Bachelor's I did in geography. Then coming to master's, I got opportunity to study MSc in water science and governance, which was more of a lot of physics, hydraulics, plus governance policy, which always was very fascinating to me. So I would say learning hydraulics at that age, when I literally decided that I won't study maths or any science after 10th, but I still had to, because master's was in that section. So water was always very much close to my heart, I would say, because even today I talk about my school excursion days, because that is when I could connect to water. Tarun Bharat Sangh was the opportunity that I got where I could connect with water. So I did my master's. I completed my master's last year. So after that, I was working with CEW, and because my master's wholly went online, I couldn't learn a lot of groundwork. So working at CEW was also more of secondary data. I was working on the secondary data section. So I couldn't learn a lot of things on ground, which was my whole motive behind joining this course. So I left working there. I decided that I will work something I will do on ground. I will take up some projects. So I joined Mansi ma'am and her fellowship program, and I have been working with W for W. I am doing its and bits of Wiki also. And I'm more of trying to connect with people who are working in the profession of water. I'm trying to learn through their journeys, how have they learned water, and just I would say I'm just in the way of learning through people, through their journey. So yeah, that's a little bit about me and my background in the field of water.
Thank you, Anubhuti. I hope thank you. I hope you hit the ground stronger and sooner as you wish to, but you are learning from the journey of other women, and you know it's very interesting, but at the same time, it is quite a bit of task. So you are getting a good training, I must say, which you already had in the beginning of your, let me say, your education or childhood. So let me just come to Harshita and ask her. So Harshita, coming from architecture planning background, what brought you to water and what are you up to these days?
So a brief about my self. There would be a lot to say because of course it is now coming from W for W and MM. But I'm an architect, urban planner from CEPT with almost 3 years of work experience in public policy, climate change, and master planning. So my association to water has been very incidental, I'll say. It has been, my life has more been revolving like the properties of water than being engaged in water. So through Mansi ma'am and her EDRC fellowship that I have been a part of for almost 2 years now, I started during my final semester of Masters in Urban Planning. And now that I've been upgraded to a lot of other positions of managing women in architecture also, and the Friday water sessions and a couple of Wednesday sessions also. And of course, I am the National Youth Representative of Research Development and Outreach for WICCI-WRC, of which Dr. Mansibal is the president. So this is a brief about me. So now that I'm working in this field, I've realized that water is an indispensable part of our life, not just for survival, but also in terms of gaining more work experience. So if you're in a similar background, water comes naturally to you. So that's how my background and my life has been lately.
Interesting, Harshita. Yeah, interesting. And also I know you are doing some things bit here and there, and also let me just add here, Anubhuti, Harshita, we are also together in the Ganga project. So that also brings something on the ground. But you are also working something on wastewater and climate change. So these are all interesting ways to connect. So I'm also very happy, Harshita, that we could pull you into water. So that's an interesting way to let me put it that way. But I remember
my association to water has always been incidental. And
yes.
till the longest time, I did not accept that I'm actually working around water.
Yes, but you were. Yes, I mean, the way we discussed, yeah. So,
and life has been flowing like water.
Yes, it has been flowing well like water. See, you have started because we also do a lot of individual communication, and we have started talking more philosophically, and then you can think that, yes, we have to flow. let's flow with like the water. So let me just jump to the next question now. And I see Ajit sir is also writing something very interesting. So I will also bring him in because he's also mentoring a lot of other women in the water sector. But let me come to my next round of question. I would like to ask from your experiences that you have, what kind of work have been more rewarding or enjoying for you, and where do you find it challenging for you to engage for whatever reason? We can talk about skills later on, but what works interests you, and where do you think within the water sector that no, either this is not my cup of tea, or no, I don't like it, or I would like to improve this sector. So we again go the same, round of response. So we start with Vaishali again. Over to you, Vaishali.
Thank you. That's quite an interesting and challenging question at the same time. I think for me, the answer is what is rewarding is obviously what is most challenging, because you put in that much effort and then you truly enjoy when you actually are able to achieve it. So for me, I would say it's been consensus building or getting the different people on the board for any specific project. There are multiple voices because water cuts across so many domains. Obviously so many jurisdictions as well. So let it be on the village sector in India, in Bhuj, from rainwater harvesting, which were community-based, so they had to participate, versus bringing policy people, engineers together on Singapore as to agreeing as to what sort of project should be integrated. And even now when I'm studying governance, stakeholder participation for ULBs, that is the most challenging part. How do you get them to work? For me, yes, I've had some practical experiences, but also a lot of theoretical understanding of cases all around. But yeah, that has been the most difficult part. And I've seen most of the projects also fall apart because of this lack of cooperation or lack of agreement. So whenever I've been able to do it, it's always been a very rewarding experience. So that's my response to this one.
Interesting. Also, we both believe a lot in collective action. So Vaishali, that makes it revolve around Elinor Ostrom, who is
Yes.
Herself kind of a woman in
Exactly.
water, I must say.
Yes.
I wish we were doing this series when she was around. I would have just requested to start this series for us. But nevertheless, what you mentioned has been rewarding as well as challenging, but we have also seen that when we talk about water management, bringing people together is the biggest task, and also the winning point when you bring them together, because water management is people management, and so it's all about people. So let me come to Kensangla and get some insights from Nagaland and also her experience from other places. Some things which are exciting for you or challenging for you in whatever you are working on at this point in time.
Okay, the most challenging I have faced so far was to bring my community together. It was the most difficult task I've ever done. And as I have to go from door to door, asking them about cleanliness, telling them about hygiene, lifestyle changes, sanitization. And, sometimes it's very hard, tiring. Sometimes I want to give up, but still I have the courage, yes, I can do it. And that was the courage. And as we go on, my community began to understand about this water. We faced a lot of scarcity during winter because we live in hilltop and the rivers are downhill, so we have to pump up water. So it was very difficult for us sometimes. And during the winter, the water will dry up. So the only source of water for domestic and agricultural use was a community well. So we have to preserve that very well. And that was our source of joy when we do that. So that was, when we preserve the water, we could get the community water together. And that is how we were doing, helping one another, creating awareness about the scarcity. So that was the main thing I found. And, the difficult thing was the community. And it took a lot of process to come together. But as years go on, we were together helping one another. So that's
Interesting.
how
Yeah.
far we have achieved.
Interesting. I think in your case, it also matters with the kind of community because people also know you, but very well put that bringing people together, echoing what Vaishali was mentioning from micro to macro scale of doing work together. But more power to you. And we learned from Anubhuti what kind of work excites you and what are your challenging points which you can imagine now.
About the rewarding part, I think I belong from Bihar, Jharkhand area. So because my dad is in defense, so I haven't been able to go and explore the on-ground activities a lot. But when I was doing my master's, I could pick up a lot of projects in the state, which was related to water, which was related to the community. So I think my answer is almost similar to what Vaishali and Kensangla mentioned, that it's a little bit towards the rewarding part is more towards the community and how we connect with the people. So when you work with the community, when you go on ground and learn about water, it's also a lot of different stakeholders that you meet, their perceptions, and a lot of other things you get to learn in the journey of learning about water. So I think that would be something rewarding. About challenging, I would come back to my part where I was working at CEW. So I was at that time I was working on a lot of district disaster management plans, and I was looking at hydrometeorological disasters and a lot of other disasters. But one thing that I noticed in every state, the plans have been just copy pasted. So when I was going through all those plans, district disaster management plans, one thing that I felt was just for the sake of doing these plans, the government officials were doing it. So there is a lot of challenge that comes with the work and the tasks that are given to the government officials in these plans that are supposed to. So a lot of policy gaps, a lot of governance between the, I think that's one of the challenging sections that I am very willing to work on. So I think, yeah, these two things would be something I could think of. Yeah.
Interesting. Very interesting because when you talk about, how we work in policy and how we want to translate them into different scales and regions and, different communities, it cannot be same. So you are actually trying to also mention that there is no way that we should go panacea, but that we are doing the panacea way. So let me come to Harshita and with little engagement, what she is trying to get her head right, that she is in the water sector, whether she likes it or not. So what are the things which you have found really interesting in all these water experiences you have? And yes, what are the things which you think you require to improve upon or challenging for you to engage?
So at the intersection of micro and macro levels, and with the ULBs at city and state level and the ministries, so my work encompasses all of this to some extent. The most rewarding is that all the policies, the governance, all the projects, international, bilateral, national, everything is ultimately people oriented, community oriented for upgradation. But this is the challenge because there is a big bridge that needs to be passed for the vision document to be implemented to reality. And this, once it is done, then it is the most rewarding. But the biggest challenge is because of multiplicity of works and too many agencies being involved, it becomes a big gap. So irrespective of water, solid waste management, or any sector whatsoever, I think this is something that excites me. And again, that work is challenging. So yeah.
Interesting, because what comes out very clear is, your relationship also, all four of you for that matter, your relationship with water, but the way water management is dealt from the policy level to implementation level, because somewhere you are also part of that dealing, because you have to perform certain tasks which are either part of the project or your seniors have asked you to do, and you have to really decode why are we doing this, is it the right thing to do. All those things I'm sure goes through your head, and we have all gone past that phase in life. So it will take some years, but trust me, I still have those questions. So I have not gone past it, and I hope you will go past those questions and put things in a better order than my generation has done that. Let me just quickly move to the next round of questions for you. And that is where we start actually the next phase of our interaction. And we jump into women leadership. So from water, we want to now focus more on talking about women leadership. And I would like to know from you, when you started your, not knowingly or let's say unknowingly, you slipped into or you started flowing in the water sector. Were you aware of some women role models, or did you had any, inhibitions in you that being woman in the water sector is something different, or you were really looking up to some people when you were in the water sector? Who were your not role models, but who were you referring to, or who inspires you more, or even till date? Did you come across, this question is important for us, and trust me, when we started, we had not many people to look up to, apart from a couple of them, and I can name them, to be honest. I mean, Vandana Shiva was there, but not directly in the water, but yes, indirectly with seed, then Medha Patkar, then, Aruna Roy, again, not directly, but through the community and all. But yes, we knew many men role models. So Rajan Bhaiji, we knew, Rajendra sir, we knew, and many more. Anil Agarwal was my inspiration, to be honest, and especially making water everybody's business, which I still use in every conversation. I need to understand from you, it's now 30 years or 25 years. Did you get that kind of, some role models to look up to and look at their work and see how they have been conducting, or what I should be doing? Over to you.
So thank you, Mansi. I've never got the opportunity to share that who actually inspired me. So here I go. But unfortunately, it wasn't a woman. I'll go both ways. I'll tell you some person with whom I've worked or who inspired me, and also the women that I knew, or sort of, as you said, right? So the one person that I look up to, or sort of who made me most aware of my passion, was Kartikeya Sarabhai at the Center for Environment Education.
Yes.
So he is one personality. He is my mentor. I worked very briefly with him for over a year. But I was, I was the gili mitti. I was fresh out of masters from Texas A&M. I left US and came back to India because I wanted to work in India, because I realized that the US way of looking at environment was so much more different because it was already developed. They were talking about bioremediation and the green problems. And in India, I knew growing up that we were still having the brown issues of sanitation, lack of water, pollution. So I was like, I can't place my education in the country that I wish to work in. So I came back, and then I worked luckily at Center for Environment Education directly with Kartikeya Sarabhai. So from his dealing with different people, it's a huge organization. It's democratic. Everyone has their own point of view. Everyone has the right to speak whatever they want. And then he bringing them together for a common goal was just fascinating. And his ideas, his vision for all, and just the passion of being always able to work 12 hours, 18 hours a day. And C was not the only work that he had. He also runs his corporation. So yeah, that was absolutely fascinating. It still is. He still remains that for me a very important person that I look up to. But then if you look in terms of, if you ask about the women, I think growing up, the only name that I knew was Medha Patkar, because I was growing up in Ahmedabad in Gujarat, and Narmada Dam was quite a big issue for over a decade, and she would be in the newspaper. There wasn't much of internet or Google in that era, if I may say so. So most of the news articles would be related to the Sardar Sarovar project, and the women that I would hear about was Medha Patkar. And I was absolutely impressed by the determination and the way she was fighting for the rights of the tribals and the villages around. So yeah, that has stayed back with me. And then later on, Vandana Sivan, because I got into food forest and seeds. And yeah, so obviously you can't miss Vandana then. So.
Yes, sir. Absolutely. Absolutely. In fact, when I started, I wasn't so much aware of Sunita's work, but over the years, I am so much impressed by the way she has conducted herself, especially post Anil Agarwal ji. So yes, otherwise, thank you.
Thank you for adding, Sunita, because I would say Kartiki Bhai introduced me to him because they
Yes,
are,
yes.
part of
Same
many.
in my case, to be honest.
Okay.
Yeah.
So yeah, since then I follow her work and her good organization's work as well. It's really tremendous, the progress they have made and the work that they do. It's
Absolutely.
amazing.
And I can't imagine Ahmedabad without CE, to be honest, because you mentioned that, and CE without Kartik Bhai. But the way CE has operated for so many years, we have so many friends and who are leading women environmentalists in the country now. So let me come to Kensangla with the same question. And we need to see how we have grown in these last 3 decades, and do we have more role models, or whether you were referring to anyone or inspired by.
I think that's a very tough one. Since being from Nagaland, till now, we're on the process of learning, and it's just a startup for us. So for me, I don't have the kind of person to look up, but I have one person in my heart, that is my mom. It starts from kitchen. Being honest,
Absolutely.
Being a girl, I think everyone should agree with me.
Yes.
Because when I used to see my mother cooking, how she managed the water, at that time I realized that water is very important. And an idea that struck me was that I should really do something for my community. Not only my mother is suffering, but even my community is suffering. So being a girl, I've always watched how people use water, and I've always learned from my mother that, from very scratch, how to use water judiciously, because sometimes sometimes I see my community, we used to get 2 buckets of water during winter, and that was the hardest thing we have faced. Yes, of course, we have some tap water, pipe running, but that is always seasonal. So I should say that my mother is my biggest idol. And I should say that every girl is a superhero.
So well said.
Yeah, because every girl knows how to manage water. So I think my idol goes for every woman. That's all.
No, very well put. I think somewhere we missed that point, but implicitly they are present. We inherit that nature actually from our mother, this whole nurturing nature, caring nature, this conservation nature. I mean, I just want to put a small anecdote here, because I started reliving with my mother after 32 years. And everything is coming back in my head, why I am like this when I see the way she is conducting herself. Even to the smallest of things, she's saving from the kitchen things, to saving even a drop of water when she's drinking. She will do the glass like this 3 times. So, I mean, I'm just trying to understand, how did I get this disease of water conservation? When I look at her conduct now, lot of answers I'm getting. So very well put, Kensangla. And Anubhuti, over to you.
Ma'am, I think when the moment you asked this question about sharing who inspired, I don't think during my school time there was anyone in the field of environment or water conservation field. I couldn't actually see anybody doing any kind of work. because at that age we were never taught that you are supposed to get inspired from environmentalists or people who work in the field of environment. So uh, there was never this thought that somebody who is doing very good for the environment can also be my role model. So I think during the school journey, I never had anybody, but I always remember having Down to Earth magazine in our school. So I always used to read a little bit. I won't say a lot because I would always see my friends going through all the fancy novels. And me sitting with the magazine was little not what I always enjoyed also, I would say. But when I completed my bachelor's, when I was actually working at CSC, I was actually reading a lot from what Sunita ma'am used to do, what she has achieved. And I think from time to time, looking up, meeting up new people, my role models have kept changing. Whenever I used to read some article, I would always think that this is something I would like to achieve. Whenever during my classes, because Fauziya ma'am was only one of the teachers who would actually teach something other than science from what Terry used to had in our syllabus. So Fauziya ma'am was someone I looked up to because coming from engineering background, how she shifted towards social and woman leadership was something that I very much liked also. And that is how I think my role models kept on changing with time, with new readings, I would say. But yeah,
Interesting.
just yeah.
Very interesting. So, Harshita, you have the question, and I'm sure you are still looking for it, but still, maybe some people, because now through Wednesday, Friday, Monday, we know many women now. Actually, we have over 150 women in our knowledge bank now. So, over to you, Harshita.
I would like to add on to what Anubhuti said. As years have passed, my role models have been constantly changing. So, but now when I have been working for quite some time, I look back and then realize that how during my childhood, my grandmother and mother used to uh, take care of us, like the nurturing nature, and try to have that nature being inculcated in the kitchen aspect as well. So trying to save onto the RO water because the hard water problem in Delhi was very prominent. So things like these started building up, then using a bucket for bathing. Till now, that is a practice that's widely followed in my house. So these small things were something that I really resonated with over the years, and in general, trying to conserve not just water but also resources like electricity. So when I say water, it means like all resources over here. So probably traveling by metro. This is something that I have been following very religiously, and I think it has become a practice and it's a part of me. And I really look up to that. And the first person whose name comes to my mind when I think of water is Dr. Mansibal Bhargav, as I call her my virtual mother, also, who has constantly trying to inspire me in some way or the other. And I'm sure she has been quite successful in doing that. So
Oh,
now
so dragging
recently,
you, dragging you to water or pulling you to water? Yeah, we keep
just
talking about it,
teaching
and I
me,
keep saying you can't escape water. That is true.
just teaching me how to flow like water. If water is something that interests me, then of course I'll be going ahead with it. But yeah.
Vaishali, you want to add something here?
Yes, I do want to, for the sake of recording. I did mention in my comment, but I want it recorded. And that since I've known you and since I've been part of W4W, you are the one person, one woman that comes to my mind when someone says water. Like you are the water lady, like pond lady, lake lady in Ahmedabad, and you are truly an inspiration, Mansi, because I know how challenging and not at all rewarding it can be, and frustrating.
It's a
Yeah,
show. Yeah.
so frustrating it can be, and you have been like, you're bringing all these people and knowledge together and making it open for all. It's an amazing task that you're doing, and I truly look up to you.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Vaishali. And I see Anubhuti also raising her hand. Do you want to add something here?
I do, ma'am. Now that everybody has mentioned about you, I thought
You feel burdened. You feel burdened.
to be honest, not burdened, but I would like to mention 2, 3 things too. Now that everybody has pointed out, I remember on our Bilaspur trip, you mentioned 2, 3 things that has always been here with my heart, I would say. One thing was how these days students or the kids don't appreciate the money that they get. Like you always say how even 5,000 is such a big deal. How you always mention that how when you started your journey in the water sector, you used to earn a lot less from what your friends used to earn. But now when you see them that they are not happy with the profession that they are in, and you are equally making the same amount of money what they do, these are few things that really sort of made my way to what I'm doing today also, I would say. Plus about water, my family, everybody thinks water is what Dr. Mansi Bhargav does. My dad literally shares screenshots of every thing you put it on social media. He would be like, see, this is happening, this is happening. And I would be like, Dad, this is most of the things that go through us. And that is how it makes way to W for W and Mansi ma'am's social media. So he thinks, I mean, my whole family knows what water is because of you.
That's very, very humbling, to be honest. And thanks to all of them that at least they recognize it. It is not meant for that, but yes, it is very humbling. So let me move on to the next question. When we were talking about role models, personally, it makes a huge difference if you can look up to somebody. It's not about water sector, but just because the discussion we are having on water and women, the question was posed on that. But let me ask you a very simple question related to it. When we look at patriarchy and other sector, and you are all professionals, and then link it to water. We know anyway, in most of our professions, it's a male dominating society. Most of the professions are male dominated. You are also probably seeing the challenge of being woman in your respective sectors, whether you are working in water or not. So I would like to understand from you what it is to work with, let's say, if you have a person who is more emphatic to gender issues, or a person, it can be male or female seniors, doesn't matter. But do you see a difference in people who are more emphatic, or how do you see the difference in them? I mean, for me, that will be first step towards finding true leaders around you, So who are true leaders, who are more inclusive? Because if we are in a patriarchal society, the first thing the leader has to be is more inclusive, So if you are right now have some leaders, and if you are looking for some leaders, one of the traits will be to look for inclusiveness. So what kind of, let's say, leaders you have come across, or who do you consider leaders, and what kind of traits you look up to in the leaders? I mean, I mentioned one of the traits, which is inclusiveness. For me, once I started working on feministic values, or women in water, women in architecture, it has become extremely important to identify a good human being by how inclusive the person is, or a good leader by how inclusive the person is. And this is a major shift in my own life once I started working on women issues. So I would like to know from you, what kind of leadership traits you see in a leader? Who would you consider leader? And that can be also political leader, by the way. I mean, It can be any. So what is your definition of leadership, and how do you look at them? Maybe some leaders in your mind, Vaishali?
So I'm thinking, but a characteristic that I think, because you already added inclusiveness, that's obviously it's out there. The other characteristic that I would add, at least for me, is they have to be respectful in terms of, it may go closely with inclusiveness, but I have seen, being outside India, that there can be a legal inclusiveness, but there can be a subtle lack of respect or inclusion, in the thought process, in the participatory mechanism. So when I'm adding respectfulness, is what I mean is that, especially if it's a if it's a male person, they need to stop doing mansplaining. You need to let the women speak and complete their thought. It often happens that there would be a group of male, female, all genders, all ethnicities. And there are still times when I see dominant males just, completing the sentences for the women. And that is something that I would like them to be able to understand, that, everyone has, when it's their turn, let them finish their thought, let them present. It may be right, it may be wrong, but it's their turn. So yeah, being respectful. A specific person who I see as a leader, I'm not sure. It keeps changing, and there's so many. So it's like for different personality trait, I look at different person and try to learn from them. So I wouldn't be able to point out to one. But even in this case, I think Karthik Bhai goes on the top, because he has an organization which is 80% women, which is highly, highly inclusive, respectful. Yeah, women rule in CE. You know that they rule in
Highly
CE.
democratic. See,
Highly democratic. So that is one leader I would say, who's inclusive, who's respectful, who has never shied away from working with women. In fact, he always keep on hiring more and more young women, young girls, people, and he's flexible. So the things that I saw that he did as an organization, which I think is very good if someone is looking for a leadership role, is even before any of the policies happen formally, she already had a crush or a babysitter center for women employees, so they could come back to workforce without any worry and bring the child along. They could take the break to feed them. He also has been probably most flexible about when women move away due to marriages. He is letting them take CE with them. So he doesn't hold
yes.
CE with himself.
That is
He
why we
lets
have
people
so many
take CE.
CEs.
Exactly. And that is what the expansion of organization is about, because, and then none of these women have left. If it is possible, none of them has left, most of them, because of the support that they got from Karthik Bhai and the organization. So I think that's something that I would, look up to.
Thank you. So, Kensangla, what kind of leadership you will appreciate? Or let's say what characteristics you would like to look at in a good leader?
The first characteristic I'm looking up in a leader is a person who should understand his followers.
Very
And
good.
secondly, he should respect their thoughts. And thirdly, they should give us the freedom. As we know that our society is a male dominance, but as we grow, we are given much opportunity nowadays, and I see many women leaders being, so many women leaders in our society, and that's what makes up a society.
Absolutely.
And one thing I don't have any idol, or I don't have any that kind of person to look up, because since we are living in a very remote area, I hope you guys understand. But one
Yes.
thing I like about a person is our Prime Minister. I just remember one verse. He says, "Beti bachao, beti parao." I think that is most powerful and influential one sentence that give us, the kind of encouragement, motivation that we can do it. I think that is my biggest strength. It's been for few years, and I see posters, banners, and that gives me the strength that yes, I can do it.
Absolutely.
Thank you very
That's
much.
the whole purpose also. Thank you so much, Kensangla. Anubhuti, what kind of traits you really look up at leaders or you will appreciate in a person?
Ma'am, some of them we already talked about: inclusivity, respectful. But I think one of the things that a leader should have is open to criticism. I can't really think of a leader, but if I talk from home, I look to my dad, because he, most of the things he operates, he sort of handles everything in the home. So whenever there is even small decision making power comes to him, he, even if he decides to take any decision, he's open to the idea of listening to other people. So if you work as a leader, you have to listen to everyone and
Very well
make,
put.
yeah. So I think this is one of the things that a leader should have. Uh,
Very well put. And also, a good listener is also a good speaker. So that comes naturally. You can't be good speaker if you are not a good listener. I mean, we have been blessed, Anubhuti, both of us, we have been listening to all this Women Monday in the Mondays, and of course, and all other sessions of Fridays and Wednesdays and otherwise. So very well put. Thank you. So we are you already seeing some traits which a leader should have. So when we are talking about leadership programs, we should look at these things, how to improve them in future. Harshita?
Yes, so I think the co-panelists have already set a lot of rules for the leaders to come, but I do definitely resonate with all of them. And being respectful, I think, comes the first and foremost trait for me. And being visionary. As a leader, you have to take everyone along. So I
Yes.
think that trait is something that makes a leader. And you should be very appealing and be very grounded and talk to masses about, not even just masses, even in fact in offices also. This trait is
Colleagues
some,
also.
so to get everyone on the same page, mobilization of crowd, all these things don't require a lot of things. I mean, it's just basic trait, human trait, that I think all of us should try to inculcate. And one thing that I really think is that there are very defined men jobs and women jobs. Uh, so this is something that bothers me at times. Like, my work is both desk-based research and on-ground work. But when it comes to on-ground work, it is more towards being men oriented towards ground, and women being at the back end, attending meetings and not having much to do when it comes to the implementation aspect. So this is something that is very challenging in when it comes to women leadership in not just water but all sectors. So yeah.
Very interestingly put. And let me just understand from it, because people like Medha Patkar, Vandana Shiva, we could look up to them as leaders for the very reason you are mentioning, Harshita, because we saw them on the ground, So they
Yes.
were not limiting themselves to just doing the office work or desk work, as we call it. But and in the Monday Munching so far, this has come out very clear when we talk about, why there is inhibition in the of women presence and participation in the water sector, why there are lesser women in water sector. Often this has been resonated by many of our water leaders who are part of WICCI Water Resource Council, is that there is a general perception that water sector requires a lot of groundwork. And many women are either not encouraged from the house, or after they are certain life or age they reach with family and all, they are naturally getting discouraged, and so on and so forth. So very well put. Let me come to the last phase of the questions here, and which is related to being part of a platform or association. I don't know whether you are part of many association or platforms, but it will be good to understand from you, if you are part of other associations and platforms, what attracts you to join a platform or a network, for example, like WICCI Water Resource Council. So I'm going to give only this example, but you can also name if you're a member of other council or associations, what attracts you to join those councils, and if there are anything which you think this council can benefit you, or any expectation from it. Maybe you can just wrap up all these three little questions together. So we can start with the same sequence.
So yes, I'm part of, thanks to Mansi, part of Water in Ahmedabad and W4W, but I'm also part of other associations internationally, planners and policy and administration associations. Because I'm in academia and research for a long while, for me, it is both important in terms of professional development, which includes, yes, presenting my papers and research for peer review and peer feedback, but also the more important part is the networking part, getting to know people working in your field, having the opportunity to learn their work. Most of the work in academia gets published in time. So if you have to stay up to date of what's happening, you have to be part of associations. And these conversations is something that I really enjoy the most, because this is the best way of learning who's doing what across the world. So yeah, I'm glad to be part of this. And yes, I'm part of many others as well for this reason.
Thanks, Kensangla.
Yes, ma'am. I'm not a part of any other association, but I just like to thank this council, this association, for having me. So I just believe and hope that I will learn so many things, and I hope that this platform will give me so many opportunities to explore. Thank you.
Thanks. I think let me just add to what you just said, that you have to really exploit the platform to benefit you. Platform will not come to you to benefit you. So this is something which probably you will learn over the time. And I have been saying it time and again to all the council members. Just give a shout and start, exploiting is a good word in this case. Just exploit the huge council we have. I mean, nearly 90 people, 90 plus people. The very fact to start knowing them, and I think Anubhuti and Harshita are going to throw light on that, itself is a big change in your own way of looking at the profession and life, and even the confidence, So I will suggest you, it's a friendly suggestion, just be a little bit louder in the council and just take advantage of everyone. I mean, please exploit me. I mean, I don't mind that.
No.
Go
Thank
ahead.
you, ma'am.
Thank you. Anubhuti?
Ma'am, I think joining Wiki, being a part of EDRC fellowship program also has been very new experience for me, because before that I don't think I've been part of any association as such, because in college we didn't have other than more than a class group or groups with teachers. But I think I remember doing a hackathon with Unleash. So I did came across that WhatsApp group where a lot of climate professionals, a lot of people in the field of water connected. So we were working on some idea during the hackathon. So that is how I actually could feel that how much a social connection plays a very important role. And then when I came across Wiki, when I came across EDRC fellowship, I actually felt how much a difference a social connection makes. A lot of times you miss a lot of opportunities. You don't know what's going on in the city. You don't know what's going in your field also a lot of times if you don't know the people who are working in the field. So I think these associations are really important, and to be active is also really important. To be able to talk to these people, to be able to sort of come out of your comfort zone and ask your way out is also really important in this association. I think Wiki is a great platform also, but if you are just in the council and are not talking to the other women who are there in the council, then there is no point of being in the Wiki, because there are more than 80-90 women in the Wiki Council, and you won't even know how well they are doing if you, because I have been reading all these bios from months, so I know how people have studied from Oxford, how people have even studied from how there are even women who haven't even studied environment or water and have done wonderful things. So it's like really commendable to have such associations, I would say. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Anubhuti. Harshita.
So I'm also a part of the W4W and Wiki Water Resource Council. In addition, I'm a consultant. So of course, my from the professional aspect, I'm associated to a couple of organizations, and I have been associated to well-established bilateral corporations like GIZ as well. So in general, all the kind of association gives a lot of boost of opportunities and being recognized early on in the career. This is what Wiki and other organizations have really helped me. And through this medium, it is basically all the women are at the same page. So I could be in Delhi and it could give me the opportunity to talk to someone in the Northeast and the South and in the extreme West. So the geographical spread of women and their accomplishments goes hand in hand when I talk about how women leadership and this network has helped me. And of course, what I really look forward to is, and through my association over the years now, I could say with W4W and Wiki, I have felt that there are more women who are approaching because of me being in the limelight through various sessions, online sessions, Wiki meetups that are going on, Wiki workshops, regional workshops that are going on, the Waterfest that took place earlier in the year. So these really help to be recognized as a professional very early on. And of course, what I really look forward to is that all of us should be involved in doing some joint projects, because all of us have different kind of skill sets and expertise and different networks. So this is something that I really look forward to. May it be like writing grant proposals or some articles, or just normal talking about research and climate change policy in general. So yeah.
Interesting. Thank you, Harshita, because you also raised a point for my last question to you people related to the very thing, but I will take Anubhuti before that. So Anubhuti, you raised your,
because Harshita mentioned about collaboration and everything, I could just think of the recent project that we are doing of tackling plastic pollution through the Ganga basin. So I think a lot of us didn't know anything about plastic, what plastic waste. So because we know a lot of members of the Wiki Council, we can anytime talk to them and ask several questions related to, because when you have people on your hand, on your group, you just know whom to reach out to, whom to go to and ask the questions. Because even though water is something that connects us, there is different backgrounds also with water that we come from. So I think that would be one of the beneficial part of the such associations also. Yeah.
Very well put. And let me just say at this point in time, I think all the council members, even if they really spare 2 hours and reads everybody's bios, you know, you are better placed and you know who to reach out for what purpose and when to reach out. And I would like to extend the point which you raised on the Ganga project. You know that we are already working with Dr. Paramita Chakraborty, Mamta Mahapatra, Girija Bharat for 3 different components of the Ganga water. So we become kind of, you know, foundation for the project, but they are basically also the experts to be, and they came forward to help us when we said that we are doing that project. So it's a both ways thing. So let me just come back to what Harshita was talking about and put you the actually not the last, but the pre-final or penultimate question. And that question is on what should the council really do so that you benefit directly, and at the same time, if those activities can also help the council to grow. What kind of activities should council take up? For example, is collaborative project, which we have already started discussing. But let's say some skill building project, because see, this council is for women leadership, and it is more focused on women as a person and the leadership skills vis-a-vis what women does in the water sector, because it starts with the very point that women are doing their good work in the water sector. What will be our next step? So what kind of activities the council should really organize so that we can really nurture those leadership skills amongst the council members for any age group or any background or any position holders, from young to the senior most like me. Vaishali?
So I think I'm not sure if it's already happening. So apologies if I'm not aware of all the different work that WICCI is doing right now. But I think we can actually have skill building workshops. And if there are women who are just willing to present half an hour worth, and actually, I mean, not just share their work. I'm not talking about presentation or like, the way the Friday thesis club and things, but a very targeted skill that they are very good at it. They can just come and show us some slides or have some hands-on Zoom workshop. For example, I know myself that I know I have a couple of things that could be helpful. Let it be a story mapping or a small systems thinking, how it's done, things that we have picked up along the way as part of learning. There is so much that I can probably learn from Kensa or Anubhuti or Harshita from their field that they use. And then because nowadays it's all transdisciplinary, you just need to have the skills and the tools, and then you apply whichever field you are. So I think that's just what my input is.
So you also implicitly or rather explicitly offered what you can really provide.
Yeah. Honestly, I'm happy
to. At this moment, we are taking these feedbacks because we are going to complete now today's 51st session. And we are already, as the core team of Monday Munching, some of us are already talking about that we have to start dedicating these workshop sessions. For example, I am very fond of conducting workshop on proposal writing, because I've written so many proposals. And then leadership skills in terms of orating skills, how the art of presentation, art of public speaking, how you can get rid of that and how to engage people, make them laugh and, make them really be involved with you. So all this is tangible skill, but proposal writing, tangible skills, and art of public speaking is very intangible skill, but still if someone tells you, you can keep that in mind for future, So yes, we are thinking about it, and we will come back to all of you, those who are promising that they would like to get these skills to be shared to other people. But also if you want to learn something, you can also propose to us what you would think that the council should be doing. So we can also take that into consideration and start designing and ask our own council members to conduct these workshops, and also get sometimes people from outside. So Kensangla, what are your views on this?
Yes.
Yeah.
Ma'am, I just have one request. Sorry, just excuse me for some time.
Yeah.
Yeah. Since from the very beginning, I've been telling you guys that I'm still on the process of learning, and I'm very excited to be a part of this. As the conversation goes on, I'm more excited. I'm more eager to learn new things. So I just have one request: is that why don't we do something for the Northeast Nagaland, like a collaboration project, so that we could be more aware of what is happening around the world. So that is my only request. And if we can come up with something new, good idea, I think that will help us a lot.
Okay, been very interesting, and I am already booking my ticket to you. Okay.
Thank you, ma'am.
No. So what I'm going to do is send you some proposals, which you can think through and see if anything interests you or suits you, and some things which are happening on this part of the country, if that interests you or suits you. But we can also actually discuss for the rest of the India Council members to come and see what's going on in Nagaland. That's one option. And then also ask your circle or your little network who may not be right now the member of the council, but then we can also get them here and find out what they would like to do, apart from, of course, the skill development which we are talking about. You are going to hear from me very soon, because just like what you said, I heard about it from Jammu and Kashmir, and we worked for it for 3 months. And guess what? I got a call 2 days ago that University of Kashmir is willing to conduct some women leadership program, and we are just planning for it now. It's on. So it takes a little bit time, but now since I know that you may be interested and you can mobilize a little bit, we can definitely work towards it. Yeah. And you have to just first think about it and put the first line, and we will be there to take it further. Okay. So thank you. Anubhuti, in and out of the council and what we are trying to do. So it will be good to hear your reflection. As part of core team, you know everything.
Yes, ma'am. I think there are a lot of things we as a team have been planning, which is related to regional workshops or even doing these sessions that Vaishali mentioned, because we have been planning a lot of things. I am just more excited, and I'm looking forward to execute all these things, to be honest.
You have to plan executing now. Now it's your time to start execution plan.
So I think we have been planning a lot of things already. So I think it would be a good idea to finally put it out and execute it. So yeah.
So you have to start thinking, dreaming, and talking about it. So you feel that we are right to start executing. So maybe some of you can sit through and, filter what can be taken up in the short time span, then in the medium time span, and in the long term, So we have to plan it accordingly. That also requires planning. So before even execution. So Anubhuti, you have a new task from today.
Yes, ma'am.
So just pick few of them, not all of them, because every session, that we have got some wonderful suggestions from all our council members. So Harshita, what are your suggestions? What should be council doing to, first of all, make it validate itself also, but also where you personally can benefit, and council also benefits by getting more people on board? Harshita, are you there? Okay, you may just join as soon as you can, but let me just invite Ajit sir. He has been patiently listening to all of us. Ajit sir, would you like to interact with the fellows and the council members? Oh, you do not have the mic today. That's what you mentioned in the chat box. I see that. You can only listen. You mentioned that. Okay, so sorry, I invited you and then I read in the chat box that you will not be able to speak. So that brings me to the last round of, yes, sir. Thank you so much, sir. It's apology from my end. I missed your chat message. Last line from me and last question, also not last line, last question from my end is your message for your peer groups, younger generation. How is the water sector? What is your experience so far? And would you like them to join the water sector? Just be as frank as you you have been today. And what is your personal take? How can we really improve women's presence and participation in the water sector? It is bleak at this point in time, and it is challenging. So there are 2 questions in the last question.
Yeah, I was about to say, Mansi, you said last and you asked 2 of them, and big 2 ones, and we are wrapping up.
So, you see, I'm very good person.
So I will give one thing that I think applies to both your question is persistence. Do not give up. That's my thing about women in water and water sector in general. Both of them are challenging, but it can be rewarding in long term. Don't give up. Just be persistent, follow your interest, follow the passion. It's one sector which is wide enough to integrate every type of knowledge, experience, and skill. It's a field which is open for all. So find your niche, find something that you are good at within the water sector and keep at it. You will definitely be fulfilling yourself, your purpose, but also contributing to the betterment and better management of water.
Thank you. Thank you so much. You definitely are a good PhD scholar. I can see that. Thank you. Kensangla, your message to your peer group, and yes, how to bring more women.
I just want to say one quote that is one drop of water makes a mighty ocean. So
Yes.
let us strive hard, work hard, and let us try. I know that there is no complete solution for this, but if we work hard and make it together, then I think we can make it. Thank you.
Thank you so much. You quoted Rumi very closely, where he talks about you are a drop in the ocean, but within a drop you are an ocean by self. So thank you so much, Kensangla, and for all these questions and responses very briefly, both of you, Vaishali and Kensangla. Over to you, Anubhuti.
Ma'am, I think I pretty much agree with what Vaishali said about being persistent, because I feel to just have knowledge of water is not enough to be a leader in the water sector. And to be a woman leader, you just don't need all these qualities of being a good orator or having respect, inclusivity, etc. But you need a lot of knowledge as well in the field of water. So I think you just need to firstly know what water is, what exactly the demand, the problem is in the sector, and then I think everything will come. Like it says, na, go with the flow. So I think with the work, with the problems, the solutions will also come if you will keep reading and having that patience of uh, learning. I think it's very important to not have that you have learned everything. You have to always be open to the idea of learning in this sector. So yeah, I think this is it.
Thank you so much, Anubhuti. And you actually also resonated, but also hit the nail here to mention that you have to continuously keep learning. And let me add here a point here that educating oneself about water is not only lightening and empowering, but also it is, liberating yourself with the knowledge you get, and very, very satisfying or fulfilling, as Vaishali was. So Harshita, you listened to your peer group members here who were discussing about what should WICCI Water Resource Council be doing more in terms of, nurturing them more towards leadership, getting more engaged in the leadership and all. What do you think we should be taking up as council, where you can also benefit and other girls who would like to join the council can also benefit, and in a way we can expand the council further?
Yes. So, firstly, I would really thank the president and other council members for always reaching out to the youth members for any kind of work that we have been taking up through WICCI-WRC, and also being always available for us for any kind of opportunities and doubts or knowledge dissemination in general. So this has really helped. And what I personally feel is that the inception of the WRC council started during the pandemic, sort of like we were in the middle of the pandemic. So there was no option but to go virtual and expand. But as times have progressed in a greater way, we've had a couple of physical in-person meetings. And we have also continued with the online engagement by our regular Monday, Wednesday, and Friday sessions. And they are all over our social media and YouTube as well. So coming back to the idea, I would want that we should have more in-person events like the Waterfest we had at TIS Hyderabad in January. Then we had a couple of WICCI workshops, regional workshops in Haryana and Chandigarh. And we're also planning for a couple of more in the coming
Yes.
months. So really looking forward to that and having more council members attend those in person, because virtual is always the mode, but in person feels very different. And this is coming from a very personal experience, even though I am engaged professionally, but I would never mind taking an off and skipping work to come and say at least a hi and having a cup of chai with all the council members. So that is something I really look forward to. And this also reminds me that we have to plan more workshops, ma'am.
Yes, absolutely. And you know that we are meeting in couple of days at Delhi at Teresa's to have a small meeting. And I think you rightly mentioned this point because the very idea of sisterhood is a bond which can get further strengthened with one-to-one meeting. The fact that many of us we have not met ever, we have met, but and we know how we have bonded after meeting physically, after knowing each other for a couple of years digitally. So this whole idea of sisterhood can be really strengthened further with these physical meetings, which we are trying to. And I think again, I have to reach out to youth council members to really push the senior council members to organize. But just to let you know, Delhi we are meeting. I just finalized something in Kashmir. Then we have Chennai coming up, by the way, and we have open invitation also for Coimbatore. So we need a small team to really work towards and make it materialize. So thank you for that. Let me come to a question which is dear to my heart because it directly signals to the youth, and what better it can be than hearing from the youth to the youth. So my last question to you is on your message to your peer group members. First of all, to be in the water sector, what it is and how advantaged it is, or what can they expect or get from it, both tangible, intangible. And what should we do as youth to really make sure that in future there is more participation and presence of women in the water sector, unlike my age when I started. Over to you.
Yes. So my only message to the peer group and now my friends through the council and EDRC fellowship is that we have bonded so organically like molecules of water, and it seems like we are flowing all the time, and it has been a very beautiful friendship journey also. So I would just like thank firstly for being a part of this council, and getting to know each other has always been a delight, because we come from very different yet similar set of values and professional and personal goals in life, which makes us bond really well. So, and of course all of us are sort of in the same age group, and then we have another set of women who are like in a similar age group, so we have a lot of cross learning that happens. So I think we should really push ourselves as the youth council to reach out as much as possible and push the senior members also to engage more with us on a personal note and collectively as the council also, and just keep flowing like water. And I hope that more of us like meet during the workshops and the water fest, and of course like personally also surprise each other by coming to each other's city, because we know where to go now.
Like you did in Ahmedabad. Yes. And
Yes,
all
of course. Like I would really want that, like all of us, since the geographical spread of the council is very, like very varied throughout the
Yes.
country and internationally also, it's there,
Yes.
because a lot of youth members are securing scholarships all over the world in the top universities for very different courses from the course that they have already pursued in bachelor's and master's.
Yes.
So I think that also is giving a catapult effect to our professional goals also. So
Absolutely.
it's very motivating for other council, like the other youth members, to do something like that and be inspired by our fellows who are there. And of course, it is giving us a lot of hope that yes, water is the need of the hour, and it will continue to be the need of the hour or minute in the coming year. So like from Mansi ma'am and all the senior members times, things have really improved because they've worked for women's voice being heard, them being a part of a lot of councils in general and WICCI in general. Like it is all about women participation that WICCI stands for, and sisterhood concept. So I think it is now our responsibility for the coming generations to take this forward, and like we discussed during the whole conversation, to be heard. And now that we are very clear about our goals right from the beginning, I think we will have clearer vision in the coming years, and it will be more of participatory approach. And may I really hope it happens that there is more representation of women in the coming years, because we are very like we are I think the nurturing factor that is there, the professional touch that women bring to the table, and of course the professional skills that they bring to the table, I think they're at par or more than men in more cases.
Absolutely. I would like to really live a day when we don't have to discuss women and men in water, because water is gender neutral. But because we are more caring and concerning about water, we have to be more participating about it. Thank you so much, Harshita. I hope and I really see you as future leader here, in not only in the council, but also in the water sector in general. Thank you so much. And let's see how we can take it further with other youth council members who will be listening to all of you, and also coming on board to have this discussion. Thanks. And let me just bring a close to the session today. If you have any questions or any points which you would like to add here, now is the time. Otherwise, I will try to wrap up the session. Is that fine? Wrap up? Okay.
Ma'am.
Yes, go ahead, Anubhuti.
No, ma'am, I was just saying that it was a nice opportunity to have. I think it would be a fun session to have other youth council members as well, because whenever I attend these sessions, it's always a person who has more than 30, 20 years of experience working in the field. So it's good to hear people who have freshly come out of this, so that we can also connect after the session and learn.
Absolutely.
So maybe I will connect to Vaishali and see how
Yes,
can I learn.
I think also this will also help us to get to other council, young youth council members, because we have quite a lot of them. Huh? So we have around 20 members who are youth council members. Vaishali, over to you.
So Anubhuti, yes, I'm more than happy to connect, and with Kensangla as well. I would love to know about how Nagaland and your work and the problems in Nagaland. If you need help in documenting it, I'm happy to help you with that as well, because something that we often miss working in field is that we don't do enough documentation and hence publication and hence knowledge transfer across within India and internationally. So that's something that I am definitely interested and passionate about. And Anubhuti, I'm more than happy to help you plan, or if you want to connect after this in person as well. Thank you, Mansi, for doing this again. It has been a wonderful more than 1 hour talk and connecting with you all. Thank you for introducing me to new people.
We have to now start executing some of the ideas which we got after we have completed now 50 sessions, 50 plus. So do you have any last word, Kensangla, or you are fine? Okay. Now I can see your expression. So let me just wrap up the session. So I completely felt the conversation was flowing like water, and honestly, it was one of the most refreshing sessions we had. And I hope other youth council members and other women who are not even the council members, who are in the water sector, are listening to this, and they come forward and would like to share their journey with us. And I hope you also enjoyed this conversation. And we have really talked about it for more than an hour. And I hope you become an inspiration to others in the days to come. And we are really looking forward to more conversations coming up through these Monday Munching and Women for Water every Monday at 5 p.m. and look forward to learning more from the Youth Council as well. This was the first time we had youth members talking about their water journey. And I hope you become a future leader, as I really aspire through these conversations and also through the council, because we would like to recreate more role models, and may you become those role model in the future. You may please follow our social media platform for regular updates, which is the WICCI Water Resource Council. And thank you so much, all of you, all the girls, and please take care of yourself and see you very soon on the other side of the screen.